Hi, my name is Katie Cook, and I wanted to do a video on some examples of gestural communication. Um, we use a lot of things like facial expressions and hand gestures, like I'm doing right now, in our daily communication and in conversations that we have. A few examples I wanted to do were a head tilt. Looks like this. And I automatically do like a confused expression with that. Usually when I do a head tilt, my face will probably be like, like it'll often come after someone's asked me like a hard question, like an answer I don't really want to say. Sometimes like if someone says, "Does this shirt look bad?" It might be like, it kind of does. But it can also be like a confused thing. Like if you're confused or really if you just don't have words to say, I think a head tilt often is what happens when we're talking to someone we don't know what to say or we don't want to say it. Also, next example, nose wrinkling, like this. Um, when I think about nose wrinkling, I think about someone that's upset. Um, Usually, sometimes when you're angry, your face gets all bunched up. If you're angry, your nose will wrinkle and crinkle sometimes. Maybe even when someone cries, sometimes. I guess if they really are upset, they could even wrinkle their nose while they're crying. Or if you're disgusted, if something's gross, if something smells bad, your nose will wrinkle sometimes. Along with that, another example, eyes narrowing and widening. When I think of eyes narrowing, I sometimes nose crinkling follows with that. When your eyes are narrow, I think usually about someone who's angry, someone, or if you're confused, if you're just like, I don't know, like your eyes will get smaller. Or if you're trying to focus on something, like me, when I wear contacts, and if I don't have my glasses on or my contacts on, focusing, squinting my eyes, making them narrower helps my eyes to see things a little bit sharper. But I think that also eyes narrowing could also deal with just trying to focus in on something. Or if your eyes are widening, like this, I think shock, I think surprise when I think of eyes widening, or it shows interest in something. Um, the next one is lips folded inward, and when I saw that, I thought of this. And this actually just happened to me yesterday when I auditioned for a singing group. I was kind of nervous waiting for the director to come in, and I was doing this, just kind of waiting. Even while people were talking to me, I realized that I was doing that. So I think lips folded can be associated with nervousness. It can also be, if you're trying to hide something, if you're trying to be secretive about something, or if you're just thinking, pondering something. That's what I think about when I think about lips folded inward. The next one is chin wrinkled, and I'm trying to do it. I thought about, normally when my chin wrinkles, um, it's usually when I'm upset. Sometimes when I'm trying not to cry, if I'm trying really hard not to cry, like at a funeral or something, if my chin starts to quiver, for me, I know that means that I'm probably about to start tearing up and going to cry. Usually, before my tears come, my chin will quiver and will wrinkle up. So I normally think about sadness or just being upset about something when I think about chin wrinkling. The next one is shoulders raised, and normally when I raise my shoulders, I might do the hands up too. Um, Shoulders raised reminds me of when I don't know what to say, when I don't have words to say, or if I just don't know. Like if someone asks me a question and I'll just be like, you know, I don't know. That's what I think about when I think about shoulders raised. Um, Trunk forward or away from a listener. Um, the trunk, the way your body is facing when you're talking or listening to somebody, alone by itself can communicate if you're interested or if you're not. Um, it can show if you really want to communicate with somebody, if you really want them to know how you feel, then I think you'll turn towards them, and you'll make that eye contact, and you'll emphasize the importance or the point that you're trying to get across to them. And so even if you're the listener or if you're the speaker, I think your trunk communicates, the direction it's facing communicates a lot of your stance on what they're talking about. If I'm not comfortable about something, I might turn away from that person. I might start doing something else. Um, I might be at the counter cooking, chopping. If I'm really interested, like talking to my sister or something, I will stop and turn towards her and listen to her. If it's really interesting and if I really want to engage with her. But I think our trunk, whether we're talking or whether we're the one listening, I think the direction we're facing towards the speaker or the listener can show, hey, I'm really interested in what you're talking about, or no, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'll hear you, and I will respond, if I need to. The next example I want to talk about was the way people sit. In the book, it talked about knees apart, knees together, and it also talked about crossing your legs at the knee or at the ankle, or having your ankle on top of your knee. Um, and I also think this also depends upon the gender of the person. I know me as a girl, myself, if I'm sitting, I normally will keep my knees together. If I'm out in public, if I'm at school, or I'll cross my ankles underneath me. Um, but I think most girls, especially if we're wearing skirts and dresses, it's important to keep your legs together. And I noticed that guys, sometimes they sit more, usually with their knees more apart than girls do. And then also the leg crossing. I think that also depends on if you're a boy or if you're a girl. I know most girls that I've seen will cross their legs at their knee, and I do that myself. And hardly ever do I put my ankle on top of my knee and and cross them like that. And I see that more with guys, because again, if girls are wearing something like a skirt or a dress, it's more appropriate to cross your legs at the knee for us. So I also think it depends on gender, and also not always, but I notice when I have my legs crossed, I might. I could be nervous about something. I could be waiting in the waiting room for an appointment or something, or I could be at a very important interview or meeting, and I think sometimes just keeping my knees together can just keep me calmer, maybe. But I think it can also show nervousness or contentment, depending on how your legs are sitting. Next example would be, it says lips pulled upward at edges, meaning a smile or a grin or laughing. Sometimes a laugh follows a smile. So um, I think that also, that if you're smiling, listening to somebody, sometimes if I just do it like a slight grin, like, it shows I'm interested. If someone's talking to me, I'm interested in what they're talking about. That's just a nonverbal way. The way your lips are shaped can show a person what you're how you that you're listening to them, that you're paying attention to what they're saying. And the last example that I was going to do was head shaking or nodding. Also, when you're listening to someone or talking to someone, shaking your head can put emphasis on a word that you're saying, or if you're the listener, it can show that you're, if when you nod, it's just polite. It's a way of not interrupting what they're saying, but it communicates to them that you're listening, that you're interested, that you understand, that you're following where they're going in the conversation. And also, nodding can be shaking your head, or nodding your head can also communicate yes or no non-verbally. Um, and sometimes you don't always have words to say, so just shaking your head or nodding your head is sometimes, during certain questions or certain parts of the conversation, are appropriate to use. And those are my 10 examples.